So, you want to be a fighter? It's not just how hard you hit.
Or how fast you can move.
It's about getting up earlier, training harder.
And pushing yourself more than the other guys.
It's about knowing you can be the best.
It's about courage and commitment. That's what it takes.
So, you want to be a fighter?
This
is how.
Welcome to the premiere of UFC Undisputed 2010. That's right. I'm Danny Bilson, the EVP of the Core Games Group at THQ, and I'm really excited to show this game to you guys for the first time. I look at last year's game as the beginning of the rebirth of THQ, in particular our division there. Since this game came out, it's done nearly 4 million units. Our consistent games since then, all year long, have been of very high quality, and we're having a great year. When you see our financial results, you'll see we had a very good year this year. And a lot of it had to do with UFC. So really excited. This is a huge game for us. And before we go further, there's just a few people that I want to acknowledge and thank who really kill themselves to make this happen every year. There's our team in Osaka, Japan, who I think they're probably still sleeping under their desks right now. And then we have a very large team in California who commutes back and forth and works very hard on design and audio and all this stuff. It's led by Colin Mack, sitting there. Nevin Dravinsky. Back in LA is Antoine Peltier. Omar Kendall, who's here tonight to demo. And Brian Chambers, who has a lot to do with the awesome animation in this game. And there's another guy I got to acknowledge from the UFC, Don Gold, who's been on this project since it wasn't a project, who has maintained an unbelievable relationship with us. He actually is in the neighborhood, is in the studio almost every day, Don? I don't know. It seems like you're always there. They're great partners. And without further ado, I'm going to let two of the key designers, Nevin Dravinsky and Owen Kendall, take you through some of this game and show it to you. Thanks. Have a great time tonight. It's going to be awesome.
What's up, guys? I'm Nevin. Omar doesn't really need to join me for this, so I'll just run through a little bit of a video on some of the career mode and Creative Fighter improvements that we did this year. You're going to get to obviously play Creative Fighter when you play the game coming up, and we'll give you a little taste of the career mode as we get into it. So if you want to go start the video. I'm going to talk pretty fast. It's not because I didn't take my Xanax, it's just it's a quick video. So Creative Fighter went through a lot of improvements this year. This year we went through, last year if you remember, half of the fighters in the game were created via the Creative Fighter system. This year all 100 plus roster fighters received the same photorealistic treatment. So as a result, the Creative Fighters had to stand out to those guys, and they went through improvements as well. We touched every Creative Fighter part, made improvements to make sure the visual quality of the Creative Fighters matched up. You can see here we can pick first names and last names as well as nicknames. That's something new from this year. We actually have this concept, the game is watching you. You'll get call-outs based on your first name and last names in the game, actually from Goldie and Buffer. You can obviously enter these on your own if you want, but the template names give you the opportunity to have more kind of immersion in the game. We have about 100 first and last names and about 50 nicknames, so a big improvement from last year's system. I should say 100 each first and last year. Obviously you can pick where you're fighting out of. A lot of different opportunities to kind of create exactly the fighter that you want to be. So body and facial construction, as I touched on earlier, we did go through and touch every single part, make sure that the guys stacked up better this year. There's a lot more nuance, a lot more variety available to you in creating your fighter. Obviously we have the weight class selections that you see here. We also cap the attributes for each weight class, as you notice. There's certain weight classes, obviously, you would think the heavyweights have a tendency to be a little stronger, and subsequent changes go into the game as well in that regard. Body types got a lot of attention this year, making them more realistic. Obviously, as I mentioned, to stack up against the roster fighters. A lot more variety, more parts this year. This is something that we really hope kind of goes into the playing up the community side. You can see here a ton of hair options. There's even long hair in the game this year. That long hair. So a lot more options, and we really hope that this results in a lot more community investment this year. We have our community.ufcundisputed.com site where we're going to do a lot of things like set up templates, show people how to make amazing looking creative fighters. And with the choice of making our roster fighters different this year, you can see here our color system is a lot more nuanced. We have the sliders instead of the static boxes from last year. So you can literally go through and adjust color, hue, saturation, however you want to do it. Again, we wanted to make sure that you have more variety, more options available to you. Obvious improvements to the various facial construction that you can do, set up brow types. You can add little fades in the eyebrows. This is where I usually shine. I get the fades on in the eyebrows. The sideburns as well. The arrow sideburn is my favorite. So again, I mean, you can see every aspect of the game. We give you complete control over the geometry. I mean, there's sliders, and again, this is going back to the community thing that we talked about. We really want people to kind of invest in these characters. I mean, you can spend hours getting in here, adjusting every little tweak to the geometry, and you're obviously going to have a chance to do this when we play the game later on tonight. But again, we really wanted to make sure that we give people all the options available to create their fighter. You can even pick your touch glove sequence if you like. We mocapped a lot of these animations, even so much as your fighter call when Buffer introduces you, give a little performance to the crowd. Even so far as your victory scene. This one's my favorite, showing up how this happened. I like that one. Again, so a lot of options. And one of the things this year is we're really allowing you to essentially apply what move you want to what controller input you want. You can see here I can go on the taunts, put which taunt I want in the controller, but that also applies to how we do various other things in the game that we'll get to in a second. Tattoo and logo placement, as well as sponsor placement, got a lot more easy to actually access. We obviously looked at the menu design, how that's actually utilized in the gameplay. You may remember last year we had a ton of menus to go down to. Obviously the tattoo system from last year, a lot of options. You can actually layer these things, so that's important to try out when you're creating your character. Try layering various tattoo shapes on one another, and you'll be able to create these very complex designs as well. But you can see I can just jump in, drag and drop. That applies to the shorts as well. We have a ton of the major sponsors from the UFC in the game. You get base clothing from a sponsor. And then the same drag and drop system applies to putting logos in your shorts. If you played last year, we had that slot system. We made it a lot more freeform. Here you can see I can just drag and drop a logo anywhere I want, place it, scale it, and adjust. And as you go through your career, you're able to unlock different sponsors and logos. We have tiers of unlocking this year. So, for example, you can unlock a sponsor and get some of their clothing at the very beginning of your career, and then later on you'll be able to unlock various other aspects so that you're not prevented from getting, say the tap out sponsorship last year was kind of at the end of your career.